Up next on Week in Review, why the Jackson County Sheriff's Office now says it's extending its administrative office hours into the evenings just to keep up with the number of people coming in seeking a concealed weapons permit. Jackson County Sheriff Mike Sharp says concealed firearms permits are already up 53% on last year. In Clay County, they're up 50%. Why?
The federales are coming for my guns. I mean, you know, a lot of people feel the Obama administration and gun control advocates are going to pass federal laws and they're going to lose the ability to own a gun. They're going to lose the ability to carry a concealed weapon. And in a lot of the articles and the stories that were printed this week, you saw people saying just that very thing. My concern and my question is, how much is this going to cost taxpayers to extend these hours for a select few people that want to get concealed carry permits? And no one's asking that question, and I haven't seen a simple explanation to how much will this cost.
Well, that's a question for the investigative unit at KCTV5.
You see that coming in May on KCTV5, perhaps.
Because it's also a week that sees the Missouri House pass legislation attempting to make criminals out of U.S. authorities who enforce federal firearms laws in Missouri. Democrats noted Wednesday that the legislation likely violates the U.S. Constitution, which gives supremacy to federal laws over state laws. The bill makes it a felony punishable by up to 4 years in prison for federal agents to try and enforce any federal laws or regulations relating to firearms and ammunition owned by Missouri residents. Now, if they know it likely violates the Constitution and will be struck down, why did they spend so much time doing this, Steve?
Because they are playing to their base, Nick. They're trying to make their fellow Republican voters who put them into office happy and to recognize why, in fact, they did cast their votes for them to get there down the road. This is playing to the base, Nick, and trying to make voters, their own voters,